Here are the starting lineups. Connecticut led by Caron Butler up front. Johnny Selby, a good scorer. Okafor has been a terrific find at center. Newcomer Brown and Robertson in the back line for Villanova. Sullivan and Wright are the forwards. Austin is the starting center. Bryant and Buchanan in the backcourt. As alluded to earlier, Buchanan with the great shooting numbers. He was the #1 free throw shooter in America last year and set the NCAA record with 73 free throws made in succession. There is Caron Butler, who comes into the game averaging 19 points a game. 50% field goal shooter, as you see, over 6 rebounds, assists and steals. As a freshman last year, he led Connecticut in scoring, rebounding, and steals.
He's on the short list for the Wooden Award. The only thing that's really hard for me to believe about this kid is that he's only a sophomore. I mean, an incredible talent. Also leads this team in steals at 6'7". That's some idea of how quick this package is. Ultimate skills.
Both these teams coming in with 9-3 overall records. UConn unbeaten in Big East play at 3-0, and the Wildcats of Villanova are 2-1. All 3 Villanova losses this year in overtime. It starts to hurt.
As long as they can play 40 minutes, they've done really, really well. 0 for 3 in OT. That put holes in your stomach.
Talik Brown with the entry pass down low to Selby. Not enough on the jump hook. And the ball comes down now to Villanova as the Wildcats come down the floor. Working hard down low is Wright. He misses it all. Offensive rebound, though, is down to Marcus Austin. And now Wright goes to the basket. And Wright will go to the free throw line and try to convert a 3-point play as he's fouled on the shot.
Boy, this brings Jim Calhoun up. In their last outing, well, the last loss against Oklahoma, the Sooners crushed them for 28 offensive rebounds. And on the first defensive set, Villanova gets 3 shots at the hoop. Not good for the coach's patience.
And Okafor, the big center, gets the foul call against him as Jim Calhoun, now in his 30th season as a Division I head coach, with the tremendous numbers, 608 career victories. He's in his 16th season at UConn. Right at the free throw line is a 79% free throw shooter. Jay Wright is stressing defense in his first season as head coach of the Wildcats. He said, we've been throwing the ball around too much. We've got to value every possession.
Well, you may ask why the first substitution was Ben Gordon out of the backcourt when the coach was upset with rebounding. Most of the breakdowns have come from the backcourt. UConn's guards not keeping people off the boards.
There is a big league play as Caron Butler loses the defense with a jab move of the ball to the basket, pulling back for the jump shot. 3-2 game Villanova. And now a hit from the outside by Reggie Bryant, averaging almost 11 points a game, a sophomore from Baltimore.
Boy, he had his tonsils checked on that one, too. That was good D.
Butler fires again, so Caron Butler lighting it up early with consecutive jump shots, and he brings the Huskies back to within 1.
Butler is probably not going to beat you by himself, but when you concentrate on him, there are so many other ways that this Connecticut team can beat you.
Buchanan with the dish out, and big Marcus Austin goes over and gets the ball.
In fact, I think Jim Calhoun would like for Caron Butler to take over more. He tends to be a little too unselfish.
Yeah, he's a very good passer also, prides himself in it. Calhoun says he's going to be special because he'll accept nothing less. And now a good play. Gordon comes up with the ball and heads to the basket. But it's ruled that official Jim Burr says he stepped on the sideline, and so the ball turns back to the Wildcats. Officials today, Jim Burr, Bob Donato, and John Clockerty.
Good thing I got my ad-libs in cellophane here. We got wet with that charge. Right in front of our broadcast location. He walks the wire, makes the steal. Oops, didn't quite.
We survived, but Paul, our stage manager, got hit hard.
Looks like she's been run through a car wash.
Occupational hazard. Now Jim Calhoun looking for an explanation from Jim Burr. Huskies had a little bit of a down tick there. The 18-point loss to St. Bonaventure. They've rallied back now and have played much better basketball, winning 3 of their last 4. Last year, Believe it or not, UConn won only one game on the road all season. This year, the Huskies are 2-0 on the road already.
Yeah, and they're still young, Don. Just one senior on both of these teams.
Dish down low to right. Ball last touched by UConn.
Great intensity out here today. Both teams battling for first place here in the Eastern Division of the Big East. Oh, my.
Now the ball tipped over, and here comes Caron Butler leading the break at 6-7. Control break, 10 guys running. Ben Gordon, the freshman with the ball, he can shoot long distance, and he will put it up. He will launch.
Well, the biggest thing is trying to keep that guy in front of you. Very quick, breaks you down, can play one or two.
Again, a pass out from Caron Butler. Gordon fires long. Rebound taken down by Ricky Wright.
Nobody on the board for the Huskies. And that brings somebody off the bench.
Last year, Villanova beat Connecticut twice, and that probably kept the Huskies from going to the NCAA tournament. They were about a win away from going. Jay Wright, the new head coach after 7 years at Hofstra. But he was here for 5 years under Raleigh Massimino as an assistant coach. A lot of people thought, as you know, Bucky, that he played for Villanova. Actually probably wore the colors of the Bucknell Bison as a collegian.
Yeah, well, Bucknell's not in the Big East. Villanova is, and he's a Philly guy. He didn't think the opportunity to come back here would be so quick, even though he was building a great reputation at Hofstra. Lapis, the coach here, had several years to go. But all of a sudden in the spring, Lapis went to UMass. It opened. And as far as Jay Wright's concerned, it's a marriage made in heaven.
Yeah, he loves being here, and some people rate the recruiting class he has coming in as the second best in the country. As Caron Butler comes flying out of the rafters, that won't count.
I'm told by the recruiting analyst that he got the 4 best kids out of New York City. And he has to go back next Sunday and play St. John's. And the prodigal son returns to the Garden next Sunday, but he will not be welcomed after that recruiting year.
No, he will not. Talik Brown now goes to the bench, who's been playing such improved basketball. He's been the reason that UConn's on the uptick. The point guard, the sophomore from New York. Comes off the court with a bit of a limp as Johnny Selvey gets the ball over to Tony Robertson. Butler fires the ball and knocks another one down. Andrew Sullivan's all over him, Bucky, but to no avail.
Well, the key now, after hitting those 3, you got to make him put it on the floor. Now, you know, you want sudden death or 10 weeks in the hospital. But I'd make him do something besides pop. He's killing him. 7
points already for Connecticut's leading scorer. Now Wright puts up a jump hook. And another foul. We already had 2 fouls signaled on the center for UConn, Emeka Okafor, the freshman from Bel Air, Texas.
What a talent he is, Don. The rookie, they say 6'8", but the length of his arms, the quickness of his feet, he's an extraordinary talent. Plays over 7 feet.
Well, he sent 8 back against Oklahoma, blocked 8 shots against the number 5 Sooners.
Return to sender. They must have had tickets for Elvis Presley in the house.
But they had 13 blocked shots in that game, but gave up so many offensive rebounds they couldn't win it. Huskies.
28 offensive boards. That's a demolition derby for a team that takes pride in his defense.
And here's Robertson on a steal and a breakaway. And Tony Robertson, a 13-point-a-game scorer, slams 2 down, and the Huskies take the lead 9-7.
The big concern for Villanova, they're a great shooting team. They've been a good rebounding team, but turnovers have just killed them. And there's another.
Justin Brown comes up with a loose ball, gets it up quickly. Caron Butler all the way down. Man alive. We have men against boys out here at the moment as Caron Butler has dominated this game. Caron Butler now with 9 points and Connecticut with a 4-point lead.
I just made the suggestion he should put it on the floor. I'm out of suggestions.
Now when you got a step like that.
Whoa.
He went from the line to the hoop in one big stride. Now we have Caron Butler on the breakaway as Connecticut builds a 4-point lead.
Connecticut showing no love, especially this guy. The Huskies on a 7-0 run. And here is Caron Butler showing just part of the arsenal. We've seen him take it to the hoop. He went left twice, that time straight over the top for 9 points in the early going. What a player.
Bucky, he put the ball in the air now 4 times and hit all 4 shots. So Butler evolving into a cornerstone player for the Huskies, much like the great ones that went before him, Richard Hamilton and Ray Allen. Here is Derek Snowden driving to the basket. And taking over for Jermaine Medley, who's now playing in Europe at the point guard position for Villanova. John Clockerty says you were on the line. The ball turns over.
Snowden going in too deep, no place really to go. Even though he drew a double team, he was smothered against the baseline. Turnovers a huge problem, especially for Snowden. And now Nova has 3 straight down the floor. And that's just feeding an offensive machine in Connecticut.
Bucky, as you know, Connecticut makes a big point on efficiency off the turnover in the fast break. As we have an outside shot hit by Robertson, they really rate their shooting percentages off the break, point percentages. How often on the fast break do you result in points? In recent game, they had 80% success rate.
Incredible. Huskies now extending the defense, smelling a little blood. 4 straight turnovers.
Well, they remember last year when they were beaten in this building. At the end, it was a blowout by Villanova, as a little-known player, Andreas Block, came off the bench and hit 4 of 4 three-point shots for the Wildcats to key the Villanova victory.
Wildcats swept the series last year, even won by double digits up in Hartford, I guess they played. That was not a good year for Connecticut basketball. The NIT, a big step down. One of the things Calhoun has done is improve his schedule, his RPI. Teams like North Carolina, Arizona, Vanderbilt, they'll be in the NCAA this year, sniffing to go back for the title.
He's gone to a very difficult out-of-conference schedule, and it's always difficult in the Big East as the shot is Harem's in and out. Try by Talik Brown doesn't go. Now Villanova, Jay Wright telling us before the game, we've got to value every possession of the ball and make sure we get a shot. We've been throwing it all over, and they've done that the last few trips down. Villanova with no field goals in the last 5 minutes of this game. Now a breakaway to Snowden down low, beautifully done. And Snowden lays it in, and it's a 14-9 game Huskies. Caron Butler, his first miss of the day, and a nice save by Ricky Wright. Outlet goes down court. Here comes Buchanan, the sharpshooter.
Huskies not really getting to that offensive board. They're so confident it's going in. Showtime.
And they throw away a beautiful dish by Caron Butler, feeding off to Talik Brown. Some beautiful basketball by the Huskies. Boy, they look good.
If I'd been 4 out of 5, I might not have passed that, but that's part of the charm of Caron Butler. As you pointed out, Don, he not only is a good passer, he takes great pride.
He does.
Here's another turnover. The Huskies are running. Nice pass. Butler under control and again benevolent. This is a city of brotherly love, as we know. And let me tell you, this city has never been more lovely than it has this weekend.
Wow.
The Sixers beat San Antonio. The Flyers beat the Rangers. The Eagles win, and they're looking for Villanova to make it a quartet. But right now, Nova has its hands full.
Andy Reid and the Eagles, they're heading into Chicago with a head of steam. They're going to be tough to beat. That'll be like a heavyweight fight. Some people knocked out in that game. Jim Calhoun has got to be pleased. His UConn Huskies on a 12-2 run.
16 years. There were good coaches at Connecticut before Jim. D. Rowe and Fred Schabel and Don Perno, and they're all footnotes. Connecticut basketball is Jim Calhoun in the national championship in '99.
14 straight years he's had the Huskies in postseason play.
Yeah, he had a losing season his first year, then went to the NIT, and the rest is history. Offensive boards.
By Brooks Sales, a very important ball, but they cannot get the shot. Sales comes up with another ball. Down low, and Austin goes to the rack. And he can't get it down.
Here comes another substitution, and you know why. The little people are not keeping their guys off the board. One thing about Calhoun, he doesn't refer things to a committee. Knee-jerk might be a little more like it, but he's got a great staff. A lot of experience. Newcomer George Blaney, former head coach.
Great coach at Holy Cross for all those years.
Those two guys got a zillion years between them. The other assistants, Dave Leto and Tom Moore, both have been with Calhoun 14 and 8 years respectively. So that's a good sign when you see that continuity on the bench. But good staff there. Jay Wright starting anew with Nova.
Believe it or not, in 81 years, though, of Villanova basketball, Jay Wright is only their 8th head coach. They don't turn it over often.
Well, of course, they've won, Don. I go back to Kraft and Severance, and they've had a good run.
Jump shot off the side of the rim by Talik Brown, and the ball will come inbounds to Villanova. 16-9 game. Huskies in the lead.
There was a great tradition before Rolly Massimino won the title in '85. Villanova just seems like one of those schools that's always had good basketball. Steve Lapis had a nice run here. 8 years.
Yeah, Steve Lapis, 8 years, 4 NCAA teams, but he won only 2 NCAA tournament games, and despite a winning record, the local brethren were tough on Steve Lapis. We did a game down here last year. I was driving home listening to the talk radio. After they won, everybody was down on him.
Sometimes this is a tough town. Philadelphia has been known to boo kindergarten graduations, and just winning here isn't enough.
Well, they've had, of course, a national championship team, Big East with back-to-back national championships, Georgetown and Villanova in '84 and '85. Out the ball goes Ben Gordon, the freshman sharpshooter from Mount Vernon, New York. He led his team to the New York State Championship last year. A perfect season for Mount Vernon. 28-0. Ben Gordon was the guy pulling the trigger.
Boy, he's a scary freshman.
Very confident. They're battling for these balls, and the guy's coming up for some for Villanova is Marcus Austin.
Number 12, Talik Brown, just made a terrific defensive play that time. Now, you play for Jim Calhoun, you play defense, and he is.
UConn has 3 of 6 3-point shots so far. Nova has none. And Georgetown with a stunning win, beating the BC Eagles at Boston College. Syracuse winning at West Virginia last night. Notre Dame scoring the last 8 points of the game to come from 5 down and win at 25th ranked Pittsburgh.
Boy, Pitt's been the surprise this year in the West. They were leading the conference, undefeated in Big East play going into that game. Good win for Mike Bray on the road.
15-2 overall are the Pitt Panthers. And as a lot of coaches will say now, Bucky, there are no upsets. There's such a balance of power with so much talent spread because of the scholarship rule. No more Kentucky's bringing 25 guys in on scholarship like they did when Rupp was there.
That's a great point. I think there's another factor too, Don. The kids leaving early. A lot of transfers. 50 players went to the NBA. It seems like your marquee teams are always in a state of transition, retooling. Here are 2 here with just a senior each on each team. And Caron Butler may not make it to his junior year. So there are a lot of factors going on, but it's still exciting basketball.
There's Ben Gordon losing the ball. Derek Snowden leads the break. 3 on 2. Buchanan pulling up, and Buchanan leans in, gets it down. And it's a 19-11 game, UConn.
Boy, a long time between drinks for Nova for a field goal. And they finally got it in transition. They didn't have to face that tough half-court Connecticut defense.
Connecticut can lock you down with that half-court defense again. Nova gets a break. It's 2 on 2, and Buchanan takes it to the baseline. Snowden out. Can't get a driving shot. Kicks it back to Buchanan, one of the best three-point shooters at 53%, but that one doesn't go.
Good ball movement that time by Nova. They got a great look. The right guy got his shot. Just didn't go.
Talking about the balance of Bucky in college basketball, Jim Calhoun said there are hundreds of good players out there now. Nothing surprises you. I mean, Florida State beat Duke. That was a surprise.
Yeah, a little bit. But again, it was a surprise. Best free throw shooter, probably the best player in the country, went to the line in the second half and 0 for 6 in Jason Williams. Don Levy, another fine free throw shooter, went to the line inside a minute and was 0 for 2. So that's why we love college hoops. That's why they play the game. That's why I like college hoops, man. You can't get in a bowl game. You can't win a championship in a polling booth. You got to do it on the hardwood.
Yep, they play it off. 7th team foul now on Connecticut, so going to the free throw line is Bryant, Reggie Bryant, a sophomore from Baltimore, averaging over 10.5 points a game, and a good three-point shooter. He's hit 21 threes so far this year. More impressively, of his three-point attempts, he's hit 54%, which is almost like hitting 80% twos.
Boy, he had 13 at Notre Dame, and that big win for Nova out there in South Bend, the 2-point win, 74-72. They needed all 13 of them.
That's where Notre Dame's top scorer Humphrey struggled at the line, 6 of 15.
Yep.
But the 9 misses. It's more expensive than that because most of them were front ends. One in bonus.
If you go by statistics in this game, you'll go nuts. I thought he was going to put that one off the clock.
Snowden. Lead pass attempted for Ricky Wright, and the ball is nicely defended but knocked out of bounds. Don Criqui with Bucky Waters, First Union Center, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Connecticut and Villanova, arch rivals from the Big East, hooking up. Connecticut building the early lead, now down to 6. They led by 10 not that long ago. UConn dishes down low, and Big Brooks sailed. The only scholarship senior on the Villanova roster slams it down to make it a 4-point game.
Wildcats down to 9 players now with transfers, injuries, what have you. Boy, Buchanan draws a crowd. The respect for him as a scorer enabled him to make that great pass in the throwdown.
And now Villanova, after that dry spell, is on a 6-0 run to get back in the game. Johnny Selby loses the ball. Derek Snowden finds the handle. And now Derek Snowden tries to go inside, and he has to battle to get it up. He's rejected, gets his own rebound. Gives it to a big guy. Always a good idea down low.
Every time Derek Snowden gets down inside, it's very seldom good things happen for Villanova. He's got to pull up, get under control, and that's what he's hearing right now from Jay Wright. He just goes too fast, too deep, and then he gets buried. Watch off Villanova's guards. Watch their big men come up, the 4 and 5 players, to try to relieve the pressure on the guards. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
And right now, Bucky, Nova is on an 8-0 run to cut the lead of Connecticut down to 2.
And out of the timeout, Jay Wright changes the defense, goes to a little trap, and he caught Connecticut unawares.
And Snowden is called for a foul. Here's Talik Brown, who shot so much better in the recent games, has been hitting 62% in the last 4 games. That's the reason that Connecticut has been winning. And now, big, strong Johnny Selby, an inside shooter, works to the basket with the left hand. Extends the lead to 4.
Selby, one of those Flintstones from Flint, Michigan. Boy, they've turned out some players. How he escaped Michigan State, I don't know, because they've had a run on him.
Pick set up nicely by Austin. And a whistle stops play. There'll be a foul call on the Connecticut Huskies. Doesn't get any easier for Connecticut. They've got to go to Providence Wednesday night. And Tim Welsh and the Friars with a tremendous win yesterday over St. John's.
Boy, they beat him up in the Dunkin' Donuts Arena, huh? Dunkin' Donuts Arena. I love it.
Is that what it is? Works for me. Nova outscoring substantially Connecticut at the line. There's a front end miss, but UConn no free throws attempted so far. Nova's 5 of 8. Now Marcus Austin puts one up, and he does get a friendly roll here on one of his home floors. Villanova has 2. They also have a fine arena on campus, but doesn't seat enough to handle a Villanova Connecticut crowd.
Austin coming on strong. Jay Wright likes the way he's developing.
And Sales coming on strong for Villanova. He has their last 6 points. Now Hayes coming off the bench and scoring.
Villanova's battled their way back in here. The defensive intensity for Connecticut not as great as it was early. There's an illegal screen.
The call is on Brooks Sales, a senior from Bloomfield, Connecticut. The Sixers and now Villanova rallying back in the game, down by 4. Now let's take a moment to thank our corporate partner, Cooper Tire. Proud to be the official tire of the Big East Conference. Cooper Tires, drive on. UConn with the ball. UConn wants an up-tempo game. That's exactly what Villanova does not want. They don't want to run with the Huskies. Malik Brown with a great handle. Hayes gets the ball over, down low to Gordon, who's always ready to launch long distance. Nothing available.
Emeka Okafor on the floor, amazingly quiet.
Well, he picked up those 2 early fouls. Brown rims out, and a ball tapped over by Wright, and he gets the ball over to Bryant. Here come the Wildcats of Villanova.
Well, my advice to Nova is go inside while he's not in there.
Now a traveling call signaled, and again the Villanova turnover. So Coach Jay Wright exhorting his troops.
Turnovers. You know, it's like the father. Boy says to his father, "When I grow up, I want to coach." And the guy says, "You can't do both." You go a little nuts in this business.
That's what Al McGuire said. This is not a business for sane people. If it is a business, you start out sane, you don't end up that way. But you've been down that road as the head coach of West Virginia and Duke.
Yep.
Game's changed, and now Ricky Wright down low. So after consecutive turnovers on the previous 2 trips, Villanova gets an inside shot and comes back to within 2.
Talking about the Boeheims and the Calhouns staying at places as long as they have. I think it was Al McGuire who said, if you ride a motorcycle or coach very long, you've been very fortunate without falling off.
And Coach McGuire did both.
Yes, he did.
He would ride that bike.
Yep.
Ship one to New Zealand and ride it.
Special breed. We miss him.
Loop pass down low to Wright, and he puts it up and in. Good body control by Ricky Wright. We have a tie game.
Don, when you get a pass like that, there's not enough pressure on the ball. He had a chance to measure that one and threw it right in his hands.
Bump. That was a foul on Derek Snowden, the sophomore. Malik Brown starts to the basket. Second foul on Snowden. And a wave of substitutes now comes in the game, including Scott Hazelton for Villanova. Very good sophomore, was a high school All-American. Redshirted last year because of a foot fracture.
That Ricky Wright basket, a 14-4 run that was just snapped by Robertson. Big game for Tony.
He now has 8, Tony Robertson. And that breaks the tie, gives the Huskies a 3-point lead. Down low they go, ball tapped away by Selvey. Again, they keep trying to feed that post, Bucky.
Well, I think they're trying to make hay while Okafor is not in there. He changes the game. I mean, the guy is a rejection machine, and if Villanova's going to get anything going inside, they really need to do it now, and it's helped his comeback. Only down 3, just under 5.
Robinson and Butler have combined for 17 of the Huskies' 26 points in this game.
Brooksdale stayed with the pick that time, didn't move too soon.
Down low they go, and again, Huskies coming with the ball on the run. Malik Brown gets the lead pass.
What a great pass.
And reverses it with the right. Wasn't that nice?
Oh, that was nice.
Robinson for you 3 from the floor. Butler has now missed his last 5 shots for Connecticut after hitting his first 4. And the Huskies again up by 5 after Villanova tied the game. Reject. Sales, good hands, but he loses it. You'd like to say, Bucky, stick a fork in it. It's all over the floor, and now the ball comes down low, and Caron Butler breaks his 0 for 5 streak with an inside hoop. And all of a sudden, the Huskies on the 7-0 run build a 30-23 lead.
Derek Snowden again with a turnover. This time his shot was blocked. If he keeps taking it down in the paint, even without Okafor, he better take some dental floss, man. He's chewing on too many in there.
Points off turnovers have been big.
UConn 13-4. That's their game. Not a lot of gimmicks with Jim Calhoun's defense. They look you in the eye, play you straight up. We haven't seen the zone press much today. Mostly it's just picking up the guards as deep as you can, but they have laid back a little bit on the half-court defense, and that's the reason I think we're seeing so many good entry passes.
Johnny Selvey just got that foul, his first, sending Brooks Sales to the free throw line. Sales, the biggest of the Wildcats at 6'10". He has now scored 7 points and has 6 rebounds.
Boy, he's coming off a big game, down 14 points, 11 boards in that overtime loss to BC here.
Don Crinkey with Bucky Waters back at Philadelphia. Jim Calhoun pacing the sidelines.
That's a good shot of Fred Schabel, former Connecticut coach. He was there from 64-67, won the Yankee Conference every year, took 2 teams to the NCAA. Where is he now? Well, he's a big dog. He's a vice chairman of Comcast. Comcast is the media conglomerate that owns the Flyers, the Sixers, the Spectrum, most of Philadelphia. He's done really well. I was my great pleasure and honor to serve with him as an assistant at Duke. And we actually served under Vic Bubas, who I hope someday will be in the Hall of Fame. That's a name that most people don't pick up on because he only coached 10 years. But 3 Final Fours, incredible.
And you guys had a lot of good years.
Yep.
I didn't know it was 3 Final Fours.
Yep. I'm sorry, 2 Final Fours. I'm sorry, 3 Final, 63, 64, 66. But couldn't win it. A team by the name of UCLA was around then.
Who only won it every year.
Yep.
Here's the long ball in and out as Ryan's shot doesn't go. Long lead pass down court. Going hard to the basket is Robertson. He's rejected, but he was also fouled on the play.
Ooh, return to sender.
So with 3:02 to go in the first half, they're going to rule the ball going to come inbounds to Connecticut.
No cheery Irishman there. Sullivan nails that one. Ooh.
Clean block, no foul. It knocked it out of bounds.
Most people can't hit a 3-wood that far.
He slapped it back, and here is the outside ball to Talik Brown. They're trying to look low to Hazelton. Ron Butler, they defended him much better after he opened up, just lighting it up, hitting his first 4 shots in the field. There's Hazelton, missed it all. The offensive board comes down to a teammate. Guys working hard. Here comes Buchanan. Hazelton defending. Good help defense by the Huskies.
Yeah, their transition defense was good down there. Really hustled getting back.
This time we have a foul call on Connecticut, and it'll send Brooks Sales to the free throw line.
John Clockerty made that call. He was the official in Durham the other night when Duke sadly beat Georgia Tech. But Krzyzewski had a technical call on him, and it was John Clockerty that called it in camera. That's great.
Not many of those. Well, you live in Durham. You're part of the Duke University Medical Center. How good is this Duke team? Is this one of the best you've seen?
Well, they've got some flaws. They're really not a good rebounding team, but they're terribly quick, and they play that great defense. It's tough to bet against them. Maryland and Duke will play Thursday night in Durham. We'll have a better idea then.
Robertson tries to send one down, and he sent one into row J.
Almost went back to East Providence.
10 rows back.
I'm glad he's not my dentist. Watch this. Oh, boom!
You wouldn't want him working on your watch, I guess. Here's Buchanan going hard, and he is fouled as he goes to the basket. Jim Calhoun, I think, protesting that the guy with the ball fell down when he's doing his pivot move, which might have been the case. Well, you know something happened. He didn't faint. And it will send Buchanan to the free throw line. And here's a guy that set the NCAA record, 73 free throws in succession in Division I play last year.
Producer Eric Postman and I worked the game when he set the record. And I swore I wouldn't jinx him. So I didn't mention it.
He gets them both. And now he is, UConn is 11 of 14 at the free throw line. Or excuse me, UConn has not scored at the free throw line. Nova is 11 of 14. So that is what's kept the Wildcats in this game, down by 3.
For sure, Okafor, the fantastic freshman who got 2 quick fouls, is going to be well rested in the second half.
Connecticut doesn't even have a free throw try yet in this game. Johnny Selby can't get a roll. Rebound comes down to the Wildcats. And a foul is called on Robertson. So Villanova's heading back for more charity.
Charity stripe indeed. Very benevolent. Jim Calhoun scratching his head, wondering what it takes to get to the free throw line. Robertson looked like he had a lot of ball, and hand is of the ball.
Robertson getting hit. Yeah, that looked.
Yeah.
Robertson getting his second personal foul.
That was a good hustle play, though. The big man was really struggling and stranded back there. You got to, when they're limping like that, you got to take a shot at him.
Sales, 77% free throw shooter, knocks the first one down. So Nova is now 12 of 15 at the free throw line. UConn has not shot a free throw in the first half. Rebound to Selby. Here come the Huskies. Malik Brown takes it the distance. Malik Brown sitting down, gets the ball thrown to him. Does draw a crowd. Here comes Buchanan, one defender back. That's Gordon. And then from behind comes Tony Robertson with a phenomenal athletic move with catch-up speed. Knocks the ball out of bounds.
Malik Brown made a terrific entry that time. He actually gets the ball on the floor. I guess that counts as a rebound, doesn't it, when you're laying down?
Yeah. Whatever's fair. Here is Johnny Selby. The last 7 Villanova points have been free throws. Johnny Selby slams it down. He has 4 for the day. And the Huskies lead by 4.
And he did hang on the rim a tad, but I thought that was legitimate. Yeah, there were bodies all around in the paint. If he had come down, it would have hurt.
No showboating. He's protecting his well-being. I mean, he can get one so easily. And now the ball thrown down court and thrown away. And turns back over to Villanova. 4th turnover by the Huskies.
1 and done right now for Nova. There the blue streaks out there running again. Guess who? Tony Robertson. Nice pass. And the big finish by Johnny Selby.
And back to live action with 33 seconds to play in the half.
Selby, the only senior, a junior college player in his 2nd year.
Beautifully done by Brooks Sales, and a drive to the basket.
Boy, tempo's really picked up here. It was all Connecticut early. Karan Butler looked like he was going to break the first Union Center scoring record, but give Nova credit. They made a heck of a comeback.
Made a big adjustment. They got people on him deep outside. They didn't give any room to operate with the ball. He's very good with the ball, Karan Butler. As is Malik Brown, who pulls up and sends in a soft arcing shot, and at the horn, the Huskies extend to a 4-point lead, 36-32. Brooks Sales has been important for Nova. 13 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. With other good things, Brooks Sales, the leading point producer for the Villanova Wildcats today. Here's Karan Butler. You know he's going to start putting it up after that. He tailed off in the first half after the real hot start.
First 4 times he touched it, it was nothing but cotton. You might ask why Sales did not start. It was a minor team violation. Jay Wright trying to establish his fingerprints, his signature on the culture of the basketball program. Those things have to be done.
And of course, last year they didn't have Brooks Sales for a month because of a broken hand, and that really hurt the Wildcats. That's Karan Butler getting just his first personal foul. Jay Wright, after 7 years at Hofstra and 2 NCAA tournament teams there, had a really good record at Hofstra, built that program, 122 and 85 overall. Here comes Malik Brown. Loop lead goes to Selby. Hard to the rack. Foul is called on Villanova, and Ricky Wright is shaken up.
One thing you know about Selby, when he gets the ball, Johnny Selby has a one-track mind. Don't look for a pass. He's coming right at the rim. Get there, wait for him. He's coming.
Johnny was the junior college player of the year before transferring to Connecticut. 13-point-a-game scorer.
Been a double-figure scorer 11 out of 12 times this year for Jim Calhoun. That's consistent.
John, not a threat to launch long distance. He is a 5-foot range shooter, but a very powerful inside force. These are the first UConn free throw attempts of this day. We're at the First Union Center in Philadelphia, where the Huskies and the Wildcats are meeting for the 47th time. Don Criqui with Bucky Waters. And it is now a 37-32 game. UConn up by 5.
Talik Brown versus Derek Snowden now top is crucial. Talik trying to cut off the head. They need Snowden to be the distributor, and he's had a hard time.
They've got Selvey on Sales. Selvey's defense is up and down. Some games it's very good, other games it's not. And they're trying to work the ball down low and feed the postman Sales. They get it down. There's Sales. Oh, didn't he get about 5 nice bounces that took it down? And he'll try to complete a 3-point play, which, if successful, brings the Wildcats back to within 2.
Good job here on the defensive end. Blue shirts surrounding him. How he found room in there, I don't know, but a great pass from the top to Sales underneath. Now, that minor violation has been forgiven. He now has 15 points.
And he now has a new season high, does Brooks Sales. The foul was the second on Selvey. 16 points for Sales, 2-point game Huskies. Last touch by Villanova. Ball comes back into UConn. Last year in February they met here, and UConn really had problems. They were beaten 74-60 by Villanova. There's a guy we haven't even seen today. Andreas Block came off the bench and struck 4 3-pointers and as many tries for Villanova.
He's had lots of injuries this year, Don.
In and out. Rebound slapped around. Here comes Wright. 2-on-2. Wright goes the distance and lays it in. Nicely done by Ricky Wright. Big guy from East Chicago, Indiana, comes down and ties the game. That's 37 all. So the Wildcats off to a good one with no field goals so far in the second half. Long way to go in it, though. Brooks Sales, whatever that minor infraction was, Bucky, it was a good one because it certainly ignited him. He didn't start today, and he's now scored a season-high 16 points.
It got his attention. Nova doing anything they can to stay out of overtime. 3 overtime games, 3 losses. They play 40 minutes, they win.
A lot of times the minor infractions being late to practice. Unfortunately, the Wildcats wasn't late for the game. Brooks Sales does get the traveling violation called against him, though.
Yes, sir. He's active under there. Well, he's got a vested interest. He's from Connecticut. Yeah. And they swept him last year, and he did not have a good year with a lot of injuries. So he's a little bit inspired today.
Now a traveling call is signaled against Villanova, so they turn the ball over. It's been that way throughout. It's a struggle to maintain possession and get off a quality shot. 12 turnovers so far for Villanova.
Andrew Sullivan doing a terrific job on Caron Butler.
Jay Wright told us before the game we're still finding our way because this is primarily an offensive team, and the system we like and we teach is really based on defense and rebounding.
Villanova now in a matchup defense, and they're passing off Caron Butler. It's no longer a one-on-one challenge. A well-conceived defense by Jay Wright, and it's giving the Huskies problems. They're trying to go to the franchise, and they can't find them. But that's resourceful Jim Calhoun. He'll figure it out.
And there is Ben Gordon coming back into the game, the freshman sharpshooter from Mount Vernon, New York. UConn now with 6 turnovers, 2 in a row. It's Villanova and Connecticut from the First Union Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Don Criqui with Bucky Waters as UConn, which lost both times last year to Villanova, has led throughout most of this game. Villanova led once early in the game, 7-4. UConn was up at the half by 4. And now the Wildcats have rallied back to tie the game.
When UConn is not in transition, they're having a very hard time now against the half-court defensive Nova.
Johnny Selvey picks up a third personal foul. An important player for the Huskies.
Jay Wright's team, if statistics could rule, they lead the Big East, admittedly, early in the season in field goal percentage, three-point percentage, free throw percentage, and rebounding margin. But the turnovers have done them in. Not much, just 3 overtime games.
Sales with a nice dish, and then Ricky Wright at 6'7", skies high, and the Wildcats take the lead 39-37. Their first lead since they led early 7-4. Malik Brown with a spin move heads to the basket, and Derek Snowden unhappy with the foul call against him. Snowden stepping in as the starting point this year for Villanova. We're back to Philadelphia, where Villanova has rallied back from a 4-point halftime deficit to take a 2-point lead.
Well, they've done it in a number of ways. Good D, good boards, and if they can just overcome the turnovers, they would be dominating this game. UConn this half, 6 possessions, 0 for 2 from the floor, 1 for 2 from the foul line, 3 turnovers, bottom line 1 point. That is not the Connecticut offense. Great job by Villanova.
No foul called as the slam attempt is sent back. That was Okafor back in the game finally, and now here's a steal. Ben Gordon on the breakaway, and the ball is knocked away from him by Snowden, who's going to get the personal foul. So Jay Wright sees his point guard in foul trouble now. That's his 4th. Derek Snowden, the sophomore.
Not good judgment that time. Snowden knows how valuable he is. I don't think that was a foul. That's just a second wide open missed dunk by Connecticut today. That's called playing on the road. Now the turnovers become a real issue. Look for Jim Calhoun to tighten down the screws on pressure. Without Snowden, it's going to force Buchanan into the backcourt to become a point guard, and that is not his position. Also look for the bigger men to start handling the ball more, to take pressure off a 2-guard trying to be the distributor.
And that was the 5th team foul on Villanova coming early. Of course, they shoot on the 7th. Gordon fires. And finally, Gordon, sharpshooter, knocks down a 3. And UConn comes back and takes a 1-point lead. 6 points for Ben Gordon. Buchanan comes back. He hasn't been able to find the range. Down low, though, Sales continues his offensive output.
Offensive rebounding, offensive rebounding, offensive rebounding. Villanova, a good offensive rebounding team. Connecticut still reeling from those 28 offensive boards they yielded against the Sooners.
Yes, 62% of Oklahoma's shots were second chances because of the 28 offensive rebounds.
Boy, are they good, though. I thought Connecticut really played well against them. They are really good.
They got some scores.
Yep. I think Jim Calhoun knew he had a good team this year when they played Maryland very early in the year, and the Terrapins are loaded, coming back from the Final Four. A lot of veteran players. He really played them tough. It was like a 7 or 8 point game, and I think Jim really likes this team. Admittedly, it's young. It's best years, its best months. Games are ahead of them.
And Maryland was not very welcoming to North Carolina the other night. And alive. That's a payback for a lot of whippings over the years.
Yeah. If you're a little bit lame in the Atlantic Coast or the Big East, guaranteed they'll go right for your crutch.
That's what Jay Wright was saying before the game. He said, what about playing in the Big East? He said, we played Providence, opened up with them. He said, bang, there were 2 guys on the floor in the first play. I said, this is what I heard about the Big East. I remember it that way because assistant coach for 5 years with Raleigh Massimino here at Villanova.
And during his assistant's time, he was talking about Calhoun, Boeheim, and how the league has changed. And he remembers Calhoun's first year when assistant coaches could travel and scout. Can't do that anymore. They have to do it by tape or whatever. But Calhoun lost a really tough game, maybe at Pittsburgh or someplace, with marginal talent. You know, he didn't have a good team that first year. And he watched Calhoun in his first year lose a tough game with a tremendous effort, playing. And he said in the press conference, Calhoun was exhausted. His kids played way over their head, and the Connecticut press, which is a bit ravenous, working him over. He said, I had real empathy for the guy. And now here we are 16 years later, and he's battling the guy head to head.
If you've joined us late, we've got a good one going here in Philadelphia. Wildcats of Villanova have regained the lead over the University of Connecticut Huskies, 41-40. UConn leading at the half by 4. As right now, we have an inbounds ball going to Brooks Sales, and here's Buchanan. They've done a good job on the sharpshooter, one of the best shooters in America. The guy standing with the ball, Gary Buchanan. But Talik Brown has defended him well. Here's Austin, who was very effective in the first half, getting loose balls, getting rebounds, doing the things that don't show up as the big numbers in the scorebook, but help you win. And now Buchanan going hard to the basket. And they're ruling it's a clean block and a jump ball, and the possession arrow goes to the it goes to UConn. They'll get the ball.
High post screen by Sales, takes Okafor away from the basket and sets up that collision underneath. Couple of dynamics going on here. Sales trying to go out and help with the ball handling. Calhoun is matching Okafor against him, and it's taken Okafor away from the basket. And what that means is Okafor in 8 minutes has no points, no reads, 2 fouls, 2 blocks. I mean, he's non-existent. MIA.
But we've got a long way to go. 13-17 left to play, and now the ball turns over again, and it comes inbounds to Connecticut. 15 turnovers for Nova. Jay Wright lamenting that we've got to protect the ball better, but they've not been doing it. But they are in the lead, 41-40.
Buchanan doesn't take the ball to the basket enough. He's a great free throw shooter, only shoots 4 free throws a game, which is a crime.
Selby's shot rims out, but there is Okafor, the freshman, and he puts it back in, so he gets points.
That's his first scratch on the board. Maybe that'll light him up. He got taken out real early. Certainly he's well rested.
And it gives Connecticut another 1-point lead. Connecticut really extending the defense out. They don't want these three-point shooters. They got a shot. Nice steal by Gordon. Gordon feeds it back, and here is Okafor, and all of a sudden, the once quiet Okafor is hitting on consecutive shots.
Jay Wright, excuse me, Don. Jay Wright's really got to think about putting Derek Snowden back in. They're getting undressed. It's pick and run.
And he's coming back in right now, the point guard Derek Snowden, who sat down with 4 fouls.
Boy, Calhoun went right for it, huh? They were bleeding without a point guard. He turned up the ratchet on the defense, and now the Huskies are hot again.
And Fred Hill, one of their assistants of Villanova, saying before the game, what we don't want to do is run with these guys. They're too good at it. Here comes Connecticut running again. Caron Butler dishes off, and down and laying the ball in is the big sophomore Scott Hazelton. And all of a sudden, the Huskies are hot. They build a 5-point lead after losing the lead. And their defense really turning up the heat. 5 turnovers in the last 7 possessions for Villanova. And now more good defense forces a 5-second violation. Villanova has turned the ball over 6 times, has turned this game to the Huskies' way. And there is Okafor getting the inside shot. Right back the other way is Hazelton. Team speed, and Connecticut has a lot of team speed.
I'm very surprised. Villanova in a man-for-man with Derek Snowden on the floor with 4 fouls. Look for Connecticut to go right at him with 11 minutes to go and 4 fouls, and the quickness in the Connecticut backcourt. Jay Wright is taking a calculated risk.
Malik Brown well pleased with himself with that turnaround jump shot. It's an 8-0 run now for Connecticut as the Huskies have built a 48-41 lead. Swipe at the ball by Caron Butler.
Little frustration there by Caron. Lost his man. Good post up inside. Austin making the turn and
he's going for the ball.
Yeah, and fingers.
It could have been a head flying off if he went for the head.
Mike Tyson would have been proud of that one.
Shaq took a major swing at somebody. And Miller, here's a long ball, and Buchanan, a sharpshooter, delivers the goods. Much needed by the Wildcats as they're back to within 4.
Area code range. Snowden is trying to check Ben Gordon, who is quick on quick. Look for Gordon to go at him. Can't believe he's not.
Loop to Okafor, and Okafor again works to the basket. So limited playing time and no points in the early going today, and now Okafor's hit 3 shots in as many tries here in the second half. Ricky Wright looking for a place to shoot the ball. Value every possession, Coach Wright told his Wildcats, but now it's rejected. Here's a lead, Gordon to Talik Brown. A couple of guys followed that up.
Return to sender. The only guy that wasn't running that one down was Emeka Okafor, who got it all started with a snuff. And he didn't knock it out of bounds. He just took like Bill Russell used to do. Took it out of play and turned it into transition.
And it might be Ben Gordon who gets credit for the basket. There was a lot of guys poking at it. Here's the reject.
Coming from the weak side, the freshman gets it. Boy, do they run well. There ain't any question about where they're going. In transition, they attack.
At least Ben thought it was his hoop as he signals the scorer's table, but it is Connecticut's basket, and the Huskies again lead by 8. So they had a 4-point lead at the half, fell behind, and now have taken it back and have taken command at this point with 9:41 to go.
Even though Snowden is back in the game, Gary Buchanan is basically taking over the point guard role. I guess the fear of Snowden growing his 5th with an offensive penetration, which he is wont to do. Oh my, talk about mismatch. That looks like Bambi and Godzilla there. 27-8.
We'll see if the free throw line comes into play down the stretch run of the game. Andrew Sullivan coming back on the floor, played some good defense at Big Andrew, born in London, England. Junior. UConn just 1 of 2 from the free throw line today. 2 free throw attempts. To the contrary, Villanova's hit 13 of 17. They're in the game because of charity. They've gone to the line more. Good play inside by Ricky Wright. That's the lead to 6. Back the other way, and there's Caron Butler down low. Answering quickly for the Connecticut Huskies.
They wanted Caron to get the last shot against Oklahoma, but good defense by Oklahoma right at the end of the game with the game on the line, prevented him from getting it.
Okafor rebounding, bounce outlet to Gordon, lead pass down low, and Talik Brown gets it down, and he'll head to the free throw line. And he brings the Connecticut bench up and saluting.
This is a big team on the floor right now for Villanova, and they're having great difficulty in getting back in transition defense. But Brown and Talik Brown and Ben Gordon have just been dynamite at the end of that transition game. The big guys are doing their job for Connecticut, kicking it out, and the little people are flying and scoring.
Huskies with the great ability to run the floor and get down ahead of the defense. Talik Brown, as you see his shooting numbers, he's really picked up his shooting over the last 4 games. Connecticut winning 3 of the last 4. The only loss for Jim Calhoun's team, a 2-point loss to number 5 Oklahoma.
20-6 in transition.
Eric Snowden with 4 fouls is being sent back into the game for Villanova to play the point. They've got to get his speed on the floor, his ball handling.
Yeah, I misspoke. I mistook him for someone else earlier. It was Bryant and not Snowden. So we'll look for him to be exploited with his 4 fouls. 17
fouls now on Connecticut, so this could help the Wildcats inch closer as Bryant goes to the free throw line. A sophomore and a 75% free throw shooter. Front ends are huge. They can lead to 2 points. Front end miss means you've blown a chance at a possible 2, and 90% of the time the rebound goes to the opponent.
It's great analysis, Donald.
Talk about missed free throws, though.
You're
Missing
right.
front ends are huge.
People do not calculate that into the equation. They look at the free throws. Say, oh, they were 10 for 16 or whatever. That's not the story. The front ends on those one-and-ones are killers.
I still say the most valuable commodity in basketball is the offensive rebound. You got a guy who can offensive rebound, he's going to play. The three has changed the game a lot, but here's the great work down low by UConn. That is Scott Hazelton with a world of ability. A high school All-American, redshirted last season because of a foot injury. 210. He could be a star for Connecticut. He's defending now on Brooks Sales.
He's kind of a small 6'8", but man, he can score and really run.
A leaner by Buchanan. Connecticut there with a 9-point lead. And now Sales rebounds. Outlet. Here comes Snowden, the fastest of the Wildcats. Dishing for the three-point drive. And Buchanan now, you give him an open look, he will give you three.
Snowden wisely with that 4 fouls.
With the UConn Huskies and Jay Wright as counterpart in his first season as head man for Villanova.
For those schools that like to jump on coaches early, remember Jay Wright had 3 losing seasons before he turned it around with Hofstra.
And he took 2 teams in the next 5 years to the NCAA tournament, which was unheard of for Hofstra.
Yep, he's the real deal, and he's in the right spot.
And as you were pointing out earlier, Bucky, the recruiting analysts assess his incoming class next year to be one of the top 2 in the country. He cleaned out New York City.
It was pillage, and when he goes back to play St. John's in Madison Square Garden next Sunday on these probably some of these same stations, he is not going to be welcomed with open arms. He's the prodigal son, all right, but they know what he's been doing. He's been stealing their best players and taking them down 95 to Philadelphia.
One of the good things about being a good team, like Connecticut has been, the team of the 90s in the Big East, is you get to play in the big buildings. You don't have to go into Alumni Hall or the small building for Villanova because you need a lot of seats. And it's a lot easier to play in the big houses when you're visiting on the road. 8-point lead for Calhoun's Huskies with 7:21 left to play in the game. We're back to the First Union Center. The Huskies shooting 10 of 19 field goals in the second half. Nova is 8 of 17. That's 53% for UConn. As they had a lead, lost it, now have rallied back and lead by 8 with 7:21 to go.
We wondered where the freshman Okafor was. Well, Nova was leading 41-40 with 13 minutes to go in the game. He came in, hit back-to-back buckets. The Huskies got running and went on a 21-12 run for now is an 8-point lead. Bounce pass, bounce pass. Same plain passes in tight quarters. As soon as you get close to the basket, the defenders automatically raise their hands. You get a lot of deflections.
And this turnover count, Bucky, is expensive for the Wildcats. Villanova's turned the ball over 19 times.
I had 10 at the half. They're right on schedule. They average 20. And oh, how painful. And especially against an explosive team like Connecticut that runs every mistake right down your throat.
Villanova's been a terrific rebounding team, a big advantage in rebounding over their opposition on the average, but the turnovers have hurt. Selvey going hard, doesn't get the roll. Here's Caron Butler going back up, no foul, and the ball goes out of bounds. And they're rolling inbounds to the Huskies.
You know, Johnny Selvey's left-handed, and you think, having played the second year in the league, but you're so unaccustomed to playing a left-hander, people are on the wrong shoulder all the time. And he's going over that left shoulder to the basket, only when he gets the ball.
Now the ball comes back over to Villanova. With 6:27 left to play. 9 turnovers in this game for Connecticut. So 19 turnovers for Villanova, just 9 for UConn. Buchanan, they're playing him tight. Got a quick trigger, and he's accurate. Right. Good move. Rebound to Butler. Knocked away. Sales working hard. Butler comes up with him. Look at him at 6'7". Driving, dishing. And the call goes against the Huskies. It turns back over to Villanova. Third personal foul on Caron Butler.
Terrific defensive play here. Reggie Bryant takes a shot, and you know, everybody talks about the block shot and how great. Drawing the charge is better. You get the ball, a foul is assessed. So many times with the block shot, you know, the team gets it back, you get fouled. That was great judgment that time defensively.
But Villanova has ground to make up, down by 8 as we're inside of 6 minutes to play. Villanova, a team that swept the Connecticut Huskies in their 2 meetings last season, trying to get back in this game after they did rally to take a lead briefly in the second half. And Connecticut last season, all season long in conference, and now had a total of 1 win on the road. But so far, Connecticut this year has 2 wins already on the road and could be headed for a third today. Very big game for both teams, but Connecticut really places importance on this. They really felt they had to come in here and win.
I'm not questioning the officiating, but Connecticut's only had 5 free throws. They're 4 for 5, which is pretty outstanding. But the way they go to the basket, the way they have run so hard in transition, you'd think they'd be going to the line more. It just hasn't happened. We have 3 of the best officials in college basketball on the court today, and Bob Donata and John Clockery and Jim Burr. So that was not a knock. It's just the way it went today.
These guys, as now we have the ball turning over the other way. It's a foul call, an offensive player possession foul against Connecticut.
Good penetration. Caron Butler again trying to take it to the hole, draw a crowd, and demonstrate his excellent passing ability. Back-to-back charges. Looks like he got a little frustrated after that great opening. We must remember, as good as he is, he's just a sophomore.
And both starting forwards now for UConn have 4 fouls, Selby and Butler. And Ricky Wright takes it to the rack and gets the lead cut to 4.
Boy, no quit, no Wildcats.
Jim Burr has bounced into the first row. Young fan gets shaken up, looks to be okay, fortunately.
I'd have to call a charge. I'd have to call a charge on Burr, wouldn't you? The zebra slams the towel boy. Watch this. You got to have better balance down there. Burr, come on, you've been around a long time.
Little guy, I hope he's all right.
Derek Snow out of the game, 5 fouls. Snowden only 2 points, 5 assists, 4 turnovers, and that is being discussed right now.
That little guy that got banged up is Jay Wright's son. He's getting attended to on the side.
That's Colin. And yesterday in the shoot-around, he was having trouble, so he came over to the trainer, and Jeff Pierce put a piece of tape around his wrist, and he hit 2 in a row. He may be on the DL maybe a little bit longer. That's Jay's wife,
I think he's
Patty.
a gamer, though. He seems to be coming back.
Jay's wife, Patty, who is a Villanova grad of 1983 vintage. So he's sort of alumni.
And now the young guy's getting an ovation as he goes and gets checked out. Apparently banged up his left arm when official inadvertently fell into him. Rebound coming down to Brooks Sales, who has 20 points so far in the game to lead all scorers. Sales looking, they give him an open look from 12 feet. Rattles out. Okafor rebounds. Here's Robertson.
Boy, how did he get that wide open, Don Tricky?
Yeah, they've been on him. They picked him out high, but he's been getting a lot of points down low. At 6'10", a lot of putbacks. Malik Brown, what quickness. Wright sends it back.
That was a blur. I'll tell you, trying to keep Malik Brown and Gordon in front of you is a day's work. Watch this. This is a blur. Oop, by Sales, bye. Went by 4 white jerseys. He could have gone at that rate. He could have gone through a car wash and not got wet. He missed everything.
He did. You're talking about the quality of officiating. I think that one of the reasons these guys just see that they do so many games, they see everything. They're very good. They're like doctors who see a lot of cases. I mean, you can't surprise them with anything. Extremely high level of officiating in the Big East. under the aegis of Mr. Art Highland.
Old Princeton guy. He caddied for Bill Bradley a few years up there, and he didn't get credit for being as good a player as he is.
Pretty darn good.
He was.
Here is Wright looking to go. They clear a side for him. He's going to go one-on-one with Okafor. Wright bangs a line drive off glass. Here come the Huskies.
If you're going one-on-one with Okafor, I would go the other way, not toward the basket. The mismatch there, going toward the hoop, was clearly with the big fella.
Malik Brown, he's very confident as a sophomore, much more than he was as a freshman. Now Tony Robertson goes down hard, and a whistle again stops play. We welcome you, those of you who've been watching playoff football. Don Criqui with Bucky Waters here at the First Union Center in Philadelphia, Connecticut, and Villanova. The 47th meeting between these two longtime Big East rivals. A game that's gone back and forth. Villanova led early 7-4. Connecticut built a 10-point lead in the first half, led by 4 at the half. Saw Villanova rally back and take a lead in the second half, and then forcing a lot of turnovers by Villanova. Connecticut got its running game going and has extended to as much as an 11-point lead here in the second half. Brooks Sales, career high 21 points, and he's not done.
And he did not start because of a minor team infraction.
He's got to do that more often.
I'm going to say Jay Wright may just make him a super 6-man coming off that rail.
He came out of here snorting fired, Brooks Sales, and he's played great. UConn Huskies winners of 3 of their last 4. And here's Malik Brown, whose play really kind of sets the tempo for how well they do. When he's on his game, Connecticut usually wins. He's on his game. Malik Brown with 3.5 to go builds the lead to 6.
Well, in that vein, Jay Wright will tell you, Derek Snowden, as he goes, so we go. And right now, they're out there without him at the end of the game. Here's a pretty good finisher. Buchanan.
And a pretty good rebounder as it's ripped down. Somebody lost his shoe out there. It's Buchanan playing with, you want to go to his left, I think. Right, some covered footing. Buchanan playing without a shoe on his right foot.
Usually when you fake a guy out and he loses something, it's not a shoe.
No. That's a rarity. He's still without it. Still got that shooting hand, though, and he's up on the arc. Lead pass. Caron Butler slashing to the rack, and that's Gordon now getting it outside. And Connecticut's going to be content to burn some clock with a 6-point lead and 2:33 to play. Coach Calhoun up and breathing deeply, pacing the sidelines.
He's got a young team, a young backcourt. And right now, when you get to this point in the game, the guards own it. Impetuous, taking it too deep. Connecticut does it right now. That's good, Donald.
Well overdue, right?
Yes.
4 offensive fouls this half for UConn. And back to the line. And that line has kept the Villanova Wildcats in the game.
Again, that young backcourt, the perimeter. Not a lot of experience out there except for Tony Robertson. Jim Calhoun taking him out, but they just did not need that move at that time. It's really hard in this juncture at 2:15 to go with a little lead. When do you start to think about clock and stop attacking, especially with young teams? That can be difficult because they lose that incentive.
This game is being brought to you by BMW. Test drive the ultimate driving machine at your local BMW center. 65-61 is the count. Huskies lead, 2:15 to play. And there is the young son who is banged up.
Collins off the DL, and there's his mom, Patty Wright, Jay's bride, as we mentioned, an '83 grad. She was also a cheerleader. And never has she cheered harder for Villanova, and she's cheering right now.
And the son, Colin, banged up a little earlier when an official inadvertently fell into him, sitting in the baseline of the court, but he's okay.
That was official Jim Burr's first foul in 20 years of officiating.
Yeah.
But definitely a charge.
It's a definite charge. non-shooting foul.
Nova now matching up.
And Gordon pulls up. Looked good leaving, didn't get it down, and now a chance for Villanova. As the Wildcats bring the ball, here's Buchanan. They play him tight. Down low they go. Big man with the ball. Looking for a shot. Can Austin get anything going? He cannot. And he's tied up.
The 6'9" freshman, Marcus Austin, trying to make a move. He's had some big games. 10 points, 7 boards against VMI. He had 2 big rejects in that overtime loss to BC last time out. But, boy, that's a big spot for a freshman.
Big defensive play. Jim Calhoun said, I thought at the outset of the season we'd be 50-50 offense-defense. But the more the season proceeds, I think it's going to be the defense is going to be the rock we'll build on. As the ball is now knocked out and stays at this end.
Again, one of the counters that Jay Wright has tried to use without Derek Snowden in the game and having bad days with turnovers. Brooks Sales out at the head of the key, trying to lure Okafor out, but that time he made the poor pass inside.
Driving is Buchanan. He's rejected. It's ruled a clean block. High ball, tied up ball, and possession arrow goes to the Connecticut Huskies.
Boy, the Husky defense was bending, but it didn't break. Some great defensive plays in there. A snuff.
UConn with the ball, and the Cats now, Bucky, really need a defensive stop.
Boy, Kalik Brown's made a couple of terrific defensive plays today, and that was one of them.
Down into the final minute of play. Regulation. Kalik Brown milking the clock. Don Craigie with Bucky Waters courtside of the First Union Arena. Connecticut holding on. Leading by 4. Here's Brown to the basket. And the offensive rebound comes down to Okafor, the big freshman, and he's fouled.
Boy, again, the Connecticut guards just don't need to be going down in there that hard, out of control. The one thing Jim Calhoun does not want is fouls, and they are just asking for charging fouls, blowing through there with that great speed. They've already suffered a few, which stops the clock and sends Villanova, who has lived on the free throw line today and has kept him in the game, to the other end. So I know Jim's going a little bit crazy. He's got great talent, great speed out there, but they need to really think about a pull-up mid-range game. They don't need to be taking it to the hoop that hard with 41 seconds to go.
Villanova with 3 losses this year, and all 3 of the Wildcat losses have come in overtime. It's been that kind of a year. They were beaten in November by LaSalle in overtime, 61-58. Lost another Big 5 game to Pennsylvania, 75-74 in overtime. And then on January 9th, Boston College was able to prevail, winning in overtime 88-81.
Another new coach here in Philly, Billy Hahn at LaSalle, former assistant to Gary Williams at Maryland, pulled one of those overtime jobs on Jay Wright. Hahn doing a fine job here with the Explorers. Boy, Okafor, for a terrible start, has really come on in the second half. 8 boards, 4 rejects, 4 points. And here he is.
Big guy at the free throw line. Okafor is a 68% free throw shooter from Bel Air, Texas. Outstanding student. Rims out.
6'9" freshman. He's going to be a great player. It doesn't seem fair. He also is a 3.9 student, does it? I mean, you know, that's overkill.
Here's the whole package. Gets 1 of 2. It's a 2-possession game now, but the possessions have to be 3s for Villanova. They're down 66-61. 3 and a 2 would tie it.
Yeah, I would get the first score. I wouldn't hold out for a 3.
Whistle stop play before Buchanan got to the basket. Now substitutes come in. Sending in some size again. Marcus Austin's coming back in the game, and so is Andrew Sullivan. Robertson getting set to come back in. Looks like Selvy's done for the day. Selvey gets his 5th. Finished with 5 points. Johnny Selvey.
And Jim Calhoun going with another guard. They're going to go small here at the end of the game with 33 seconds to go, because it's they're going to be facing a press, and they're going to need the ball handlers and the quickness.
I don't think there's a guy, Bucky, on either of these two teams, especially the coaches, didn't expect this game to come down to this, right down to the horn.
Well, I know Villanova worked really hard yesterday in the practice. Jay Wright had up 2 with a minute to go, down 2 with 8 seconds to go, really preparing his team for this kind of a finish. And I think right now, despite the fact they're 0 for 3 in overtime, he would dearly love to see it happen.
Automatic at the line is Gary Buchanan, the player who set the NCAA record of 73 consecutive free throws made last season and led the nation in free throw shooting.
He just needs to get to the line more. Only 4 free throws a game, not enough.
That's what Wright said about him. He said, you know, he only made 101 free throws last year. He said, you can shoot free throws like that. You go to the basket and get fouled. Jump shooters don't go to the line. And now forced to foul. Buchanan fouls Talik Brown, who will go to the free throw line. Brown, a 61% free throw shooter.
Good guy to foul. But it's kind of like Selvey when he was going to the line against Miami. They gave him some chin music, and he's such a competitor. The coaches knew he was going to hit it.
Talik Brown, over the last 4 games, 3 of them wins for Connecticut, has shot 62% from the field, and he's averaged over 6 assists a game. His play has been improved. A big reason the Huskies' play has been improved is, let's take a look now at our best play of the game, brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. The best part is our people. Talik Brown with a good inside look and a hoop. Talik Brown has got 16 points today, doubling his season average of 8. Here comes the Wildcats. They've got to launch long distance. Here's Buchanan. He's going to fire. A leaner. Rims out. Connecticut's going to take it. 10.7 seconds to go. Connecticut by 4, and the Huskies go to the line to put it on ice if they can.
Still a 2-possession game. The great free throw shooter, over 93%, really tries to get to the line on this one.
He leans in, though.
You know how hard it is to shoot the ball from 3-point range when you're horizontal to the floor? Well, he tried it.
Caron Butler with another impressive all-around game at the free throw line now for Connecticut. Caron has scored 17 points. He has 4 assists, 5 rebounds. He's stolen the ball 4 times, and he's 3 of 3 from the free throw line. So the player who as a freshman led Connecticut in scoring, rebounding, and steals again continues to produce winning numbers for the Huskies.
He's on the short list for the Wooden Award. That's pretty amazing in itself for a sophomore. He's given the Huskies the great start and now stepping up as a great closer.
Here's Buchanan again. He's going to let it fly. Off it goes. What a look. Buchanan knocks it down. His foot was on the line, though. That's a 2-point shot. It is a 4-point game with 5 seconds left.
They had a shot. They had a shot if that had been a 3, but 2-point possession in 5 seconds. Well, I don't know, with all the crazy things going on in college hoops today, but believe me, that would be the impossible.
It's probably happened. Have you seen it happen?
I haven't.
Tonight. And they say that's, for them, is the toughest building there is to play because there's such a tremendous cross-state rivalry there.
Look for Caron Butler to be the freed-up guy to get that pass. There he is, open. This one's history.
Looking at the Big East standings, Connecticut soon to be 4-0 and 10-3 on the year. Villanova will go to 2-2. This was the standings at the outset of the day. Miami at that great start this year, 14-0, but the Hurricanes have lost 2 of their last 3. BC off to another good start until yesterday when Georgetown rose up and beat them by 26 at Chestnut Hill.
After the Huskies experience the Dunkin' Donuts Center, they come back home to Stores to host North Carolina in a struggling year, and then the Red Storm of St. John's.
And that is it. Final numbers are in, and Connecticut leading at the half, then falling behind, rallies back, forcing a lot of turnovers. A very important win for UConn, and Connecticut beats Villanova 70-65 as Connecticut continues undefeated in Big East play. 4-0 record. So a tremendous all-round game by Caron Butler. Bucky, that might have been the player of the game.
Well, as we said, he started well and he finished well. He was the franchise player.